I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Meeting is now called to order. And first order of business will be public announcements. Details may be found at www.fairfieldme.com. Nomination papers are available from Monday, July 27th, and are due by September 4th for the November municipal election. There is one seat for the Town Council, one seat for MSAD 49 School Board, and one seat for the Kennebec Water District. Please contact the town clerk for details. Action item 20-115, order that the Town Council hereby considers applicants for appointment to fill a Town Council vacancy for a term set to expire on the date and time of the Town Council's next annual organizational meeting, which would be in January 2021.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Okay, that motion carries. All right, now we're going to do public scenarios. In addition to the council consideration and discussion, I would like to invite candidate interaction. Once discussions cease, the chair, being me, will call for a motion to appoint. All right. Need a motion on that?
You need to actually do your discussion first.
No, this.
We've got a motion.
No, we need a motion on to call.
This is the motion.
This is just to call the people up to speak if they want to speak.
No.
You're in the discussion space.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yep.
All right. Quit smiling. All right, we can start by any of the people that want to join the town council may get up and speak for 3 minutes. Would anybody like to come up and speak? Okay, so be it. Yes,
May I ask them a question?
certainly.
I would like to hear from each candidate for the council seat as to why you want to be on the council.
My name is Dan Kissinger. I was informed last week that there was a vacancy and that there was a need in finding candidates. So I thought it was an opportunity to help the town in some way and provide what knowledge and experience I have, but I have no driving force or desire to be here necessarily. I just saw a need and thought it was something I could fill to help.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dan.
Hi, Veronica. I applied for the position because I've always felt a need to help my community in any way they want. I love helping. I've done registrars, I've done budget committee, anything the town needs. This is a great opportunity to help even more. So this would be a good position to help more people than just as a budget committee, for example. Thank you.
Thank you, Veronica. And Mr. Cooper.
Hello, everyone. My name is Mark Cooper. This past summer, we've officially lived in town for 25 years. We paid off the house last year. All 4 of my kids have gone through schools in the district here. And I just felt it was about time for me to start giving back to the town because they've given us so much. We've really enjoyed living here. We plan on retiring here. I just thought it'd be another opportunity. I served some time on the school board a few years ago. I worked with either the budget committee a few years ago. So I just thought this was, we're empty nesters. It's a great time to give back to the town.
Oh,
Thank you.
Mark, I got one question.
Yes, sir.
I forgot to ask each one of them. What is your strong and weak points?
Strong points. I am a very flexible, organized person. Very friendly, very outgoing. I am a school teacher, so I know how to, work with people. I'm quite a team player. Weaknesses, I don't say no very well when somebody asks me for help or for assistance or what do I think about something. Sometimes I overcommit, and my wife reminds me that I just don't have time sometimes. So I guess that would be considered a weakness.
Did you want each candidate?
Yeah, he's, I'm sorry about, I didn't mention that
that's
before.
fine.
Dan Kissinger again. Strength, I have no agenda. I'm not coming here with a preset desire to fulfill anything. Weakness, I don't do well with conflict. I have no need or desire for drama in my life. So that's what I would leave it at.
Hi, probably one of my biggest strengths is I do this for a living. I do budgets, I do paperwork. It's something I'm good at. It's something that I do day in and day out. Probably one of the weaknesses is I tend to do more. I like being busy, so I tend to fill my days with lots of projects. So they tend to fill fast.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Any other questions?
Nothing?
Okay. And, well, I guess that carries to item, as we go down the line, it'll be in the sixth order of business. Item 2119, that when we nominate.
Yeah, we got to nominate the person
No.
now.
No?
We're going to do
You
it
want
now.
it done it now?
Just,
Okay.
The third paragraph down of your highlighted section.
Gotcha. Okay.
Okay.
Actually, sorry, the second line.
Second line, yes. Okay.
All right, I guess I'll go first. Make a motion. Fine with it?
Yes.
Okay, I'll make a motion of a need carrier for the vacant council seat. I read through her description, her resume, and what she's just discussed. I think she's a very strong person. The last 2 years on the budget committee, and all what she does during the full time and an off time. So.
Okay. All right, there being no second, motion dies. Look for another motion.
I will make a motion to appoint Daniel Kissinger to fill the town council vacancy set to term to expire on date and time of town council's next annual organizational meeting in January 2021.
And I'll second that.
Okay, motion and a second. All for it? All opposed? 2. Okay, look for another motion. All right, I'll make a motion that we accept Mark Cooper as the town council to the January meeting. We'll need a second. Well, I guess with no second, then we do not have an appointment. Yes.
One of the things that you need to bear in mind is the fact that the town charter says that you shall appoint within 30 days of vacancy.
Oh,
You've
I
already
know,
gone
I agree.
beyond that.
I agree.
Okay.
Discussion.
Yep.
This is only from now until January 1st.
Until January 1st.
And I think this is an opportunity, if somebody is not familiar with how municipal government works, and we've said that at previous meetings, it's a good chance for somebody to get their feet wet. And I know that Dan Kissinger has had no experience. This would be a good opportunity to see what it's like for him. And I would like to be able to afford that opportunity to anybody to be able to come in and try municipal government as a counselor. So I would like to see Dan Kissinger fulfill this position from now until January 1st.
Okay. Discussion?
I don't see any reason why somebody that hasn't had an opportunity to be in municipal government have an opportunity to check it out. He may find out by January he wants absolutely nothing to do with municipal government.
Yep.
And I don't disagree with that option. Personally, myself, I would prefer, at this point, voice is going, prefer at this point that we have somebody that has experience within the level, has been around the community for a good number of years, and sees how everything works. I would prefer them until January 1st, until we get somebody, whoever the people elect, to go in. Which is why I'd rather see Mark Cooper. That's just my opinion.
Well, I read Mark's resume. I have nothing against Mark. I think it's 2000. Last time school board, 2007. Budget committee, 2013. 7 years. Back from now, everything's changed from 7 years
Yeah.
to now.
Yeah.
Like I nominated Beneath because she's been budget committee the last 2 or 3 years. She knows how the operation goes.
I'll make a new motion
So be it.
to appoint Mark Cooper to fill a town vacancy for the term set to expire on the date and time of the town council's next annual organizational meeting, January 2021.
And I'll second it.
Okay. Discussion. All in favor? All opposed? Mr. Cooper is the new town council until the end of the year, and everybody here will be on the ballot. And
Pending certification of signature.
we'll be able to come in and do their thing.
So at this time, Mark, if you would come forward, we're going to get you sworn in and seated. Stand here. So in accordance with the provisions of the charter of the town of Fairfield, pursuant to applicable state and Maine statutes, town council has hereby appointed you as town councilor with a term effective of August 26th to expire on the date and time of the council's organizational meeting. Do you swear that you can raise your hand? Do you swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States and of this state so long as you continue a citizen hereof, and that you will faithfully discharge to the best of your abilities duties incumbent on you as town councilor according to the Constitution and laws of the state, so help you God?
I will.
All right, and if you could sign right there. Thank you.
You all should be commended for volunteering.
Yes, I do. Yeah, you're all applauded very well.
Yeah.
It's not an easy job.
I'll welcome you to the team.
It definitely doesn't pay anything.
Well, it pays a little bit.
Well,
Just a little
yeah, enough for your water.
And I'll pocket.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming in.
Okay, next on the agenda, we will hear from Jim Lord, Dirigo Engineering.
Well, good evening all. I am Jim Lord with Dirigo Engineering. My firm recently completed a preliminary engineering study of the Town Farm Road property for the possibility of developing a residential subdivision there. Through the process of this, I believe you all have a copy of the report. Some of the things that we looked at were some of the environmental situations that are going on down there. We looked at a layout, how we would fit lots in, how many lots there could be in there, the various ways to serve the subdivision by public water, public sewer, or local well and septic systems. And then in the end, we put cost estimates to all of it. We did use a desktop environmental survey, which is existing maps. We reached out to U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, IF&W, Historic Preservation, the 5 Tribes of Maine. Historically speaking, there was one property, the actual town farm basement foundation is still on site, has been located, it is on our maps. Historic Preservation simply recommended a 50-foot buffer around it. If we were going to do anything with it, they would want to come in and have a full survey, map everything, and go from there with whatever mitigation measures we want. Environmentally, the northern long-eared bat and other bat species, which are relatively easy to deal with. We just don't cut trees in June and July here in Maine typically, and that usually gets us through that. Vernal pools, we did find 2 vernal pools on the site that we believe could be significant. In order to determine significance, you have to do an egg mass count for frogs and salamanders in the spring. At this point, we felt as though that was an expense, and we did talk to Michelle that we would wait and go through this first round to see what the town wanted to do, what the cost came in at, before moving forward with that.
Yeah.
Other than that, we did perform a couple of test pits on site and confirmed wetlands. One of the biggest issues with this site is there is significant wetlands on the property that the town owns. You own a little over 100 acres out there, and more than 50 of it really is inundated with wetlands, much of which is emergent, which means it's underwater a good portion of the year. And then there's a fair amount of forested wetland. We can permit some disturbance, but you're limited. And then once you get over a certain amount, you have to get into compensation, higher permit levels, all of those things. So we laid out a couple of lot layouts. One is if you use private well and septic, we would have 2-acre lots. One, assuming we get a public water or wastewater system in there, and you could have 30,000 square foot lots according to town ordinances. So we also laid out the roads according to town ordinances based on existing zoning out there, not assuming any changes or anything like that. So road widths, gravel, pavement, all of those costs, in the end, proved quite costly. I think we had, so for the 2-acre lots, we could get 23 lots. Based on a preliminary layout, we could refine it maybe and get an extra lot potentially, but that would take a little bit of work. We could do that maybe. But at $1.5 million in rough numbers, you're talking about almost 5,000 feet of road, talking about storm drains, pavement, everything that goes into that, the culverts. There is a stream crossing out there. In today's world, when you cross a stream, you need to be 1.2 times the bank full width. You need a natural bottom substrate. You need lots of things that go into that. There are grants available for that, up to $95,000 from the DEP, but that's, you know, if we choose to move forward as a community, then we would certainly help you apply for any grants that we could get for things like that. To go with the 30,000 square foot lots, we looked at a couple of options for public water and sewer. And the reason we wanted the smaller lots is you could get more lots. We could actually get 58 lots as opposed to the 23, which is significant. But to connect to the Kennebec water, you've got to come all the way to Shawmut Village, and pretty much the same with Kennebec sanitary treatment. You're talking about $8 million just to connect to the public water and sewer, which is an expense. The advantage of that is you put public water and sewer on Route 201, which is certainly a significant advantage to the town and developers and property owners and values and insurance rates in that corridor. So there is a significant advantage to that investment, and there's potential for grant money for that as well. The other option was cluster systems, developing, if you would, a homeowners association with a public water system where we develop 1 well or 2 wells and feed all of the community, all the properties from that. And similar with the wastewater system, we would do a couple of cluster subsurface systems, and everybody would pump to those. So it would be a public system that either the town could operate through its public works department, or, like I said, a homeowners association style system. Both are options, but that was also quite costly because the cost of developing a public water system with treatment, with all the protections that go into it, it's costly. So really the lowest cost option was to have the property owners develop their own private well and septic. But that puts the estimated per lot cost at around $64,000, just for the lot value to recoup your costs if you wanted to look at it in that respect. Now, certainly there's taxation, there's lots of things that go into the formula for the payback for the community, but it is absolutely a developable lot in what we've laid out. We feel comfortable that it could be done. There are ways you could potentially do it cheaper. These costs, we're assuming that you bid the work out to a general contractor rather than doing the work with your own forces. I know you have capable forces, but you're also limited. There's a lot of work you guys are doing around town right now, so when they would find time to build something like this would be a question, something that would have to be addressed. I did take the opportunity to look at these and see what it would do if we didn't pave the road. It would drop out around $200,000, but that still only drops your per acre lot cost to around $42,000 for gravel road subdivisions. So it's a challenging site because you've got about 2,300 feet of road you have to build to even get to the property, which adds considerable cost to it. And then the constraints with all of the wetlands there, which really limit you to about half of its developable area, or half its area is developable. So there are some constraints with that property that really make it a little challenging, but that's it in a nutshell. Any questions?
I don't,
Go ahead.
Feel free.
I always have a comment. But anyways, as I was reading the material, you know, I would write down my questions. And the more I got into the packet, the more my questions were answered. So I'd like to thank you for that, number one.
Oh, you're welcome.
Being in Fairfield yourself, do you think this is something that should be pursued?
I can't answer that off the top of my head. There's a couple of reasons for that. One is I don't have a grasp on the housing need here. I do know there's a housing need. What that need is, I'm not sure of. I know there's a need for moderate level housing. If you went low income housing, there's more grant monies available that could probably reduce these costs of the town. I also don't know the positive tax implications for property taxes to the community. I didn't assess that. So at eyesight, it looks like it's costly to do.
Yeah.
We can do it environmentally. We could do it to make all the permit agencies happy. We could do it to make the DEP happy, the Corps happy. Everybody would be happy with this layout. The question to you is the cost too high?
Right, and I talked with Michelle earlier today. It's so daunting to see 7 digits.
It is.
I mean, that's scary because we can't predict the future.
I do think, and I'll throw this out, that if you could accomplish a lot of this with the town's forces, whether it's you add forces for a year to try to do, you know, the clearing and grubbing and the gravel work and the storm drain work, you could probably save these costs somewhat. But I'll say paving costs are astronomical. You've got a contract on West and Savage Street for $413,000, and that's 4,100 feet of mill and fill and sidewalk. The cost of construction is very high in today's world. And I don't know how we get away from that reality. And I think if someone were to buy their own lot, it's unlikely that you'd find a lot in an area like that for probably less than $50,000 for a 2-acre lot, private setting, a very nice setting, very quiet, you're away from the main road. There's value there. But that's a personal preference kind of thing, and it's kind of the council's decision on whether that $64,000 per lot is worth investing or if there's a cheaper way to do it.
And that $64,000 is for the 2-acre lot.
Correct.
So it's really $32,000 an acre.
No.
Correct?
Well, yes, an acre. Correct.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, just wanted to clarify that. So.
Now, if there's ways that the community could, you know, adjust zoning variances on lot size, but again, when you need on-site septic and well, you need separation. There are requirements there that are tough to get away from.
I think this is a well-done report. I had a little bit of engineering experience myself, but we have to deal with Army Corps of Engineers for environmental, with wetlands, maybe each house may need a septic system because the water might come up through the cellar or something, or things like that. So you have to think about that. And also too, since it's half of a wetland is the mosquitoes, might have to get some stuff in there to spray it down, but that's environmental right there with the water and things like that, so.
We don't know what the water table is in that area, do we?
We don't. There are areas that we could do septic systems quite easily. There are areas you're probably going to need to do mounding. The fact that there is a high presence of water there suggests that the water table is not very deep. We do have 2 test pits that have that information. I don't have that information with me, unfortunately. I didn't do the test pits myself, but we do have that in the 2 spots we tested. But I would guess in a lot of these areas, some of these lots actually have wetland on them. We're allowed to count that. But they still need to be set back with septics and whatnot. But the fact that there's wetlands right there, the groundwater's going to be fairly well high in those areas.
Yeah, one of the problems we have in town right now is we do have a situation of building, of areas to build and houses to build, and we do have a shortage of houses. As dumb as it seems, houses go on the market today and they're gone practically immediately, which tells you that there is a shortage of housing in the town.
I certainly think that the information that's here that the town gathered through us is certainly something that can be factored into your community plan, your master plan, economic development. When it comes to housing needs, the information is here. You can build out there at some point if you can find a way to do it economically or in a way that supports your ultimate financial, economic housing goals, if you will. But it's an expense right now. I get that.
Yeah, there's a challenge too, just in case, if you do the project, not sell a property. That's the thing too.
That's a challenge.
That's the challenge right there.
That's scary to think if it doesn't sell.
But it's all one step at a time.
Yeah.
Crawl, walk, run. Yes,
So
Michelle.
the reason why we did this, of course, just for a little bit of a backup, was one, to look into see whether it was feasible to even do housing in this area. So now that you have this report and you know that, yes, it is plausible to do housing in this area. Now, granted, it's expensive, and we kind of knew that it was going to be expensive. I think the next question that I'm actually looking for an answer for is, do you want Economic Community Development Committee, myself, us to continue to look for possible ways to fund this project? There's rumor Northern Border Commission may have money for housing, especially where it's linked with the economic development piece of getting water and sewer up 201, because that is a huge factor that could come with this. So if you know that you're going to get a grant that can help fund that water and sewer piece, or do you want us to just put this on a shelf and say this is here, and if we need it someday we can, or do we continue to work towards looking to see whether it's still something to work on?
My question is, the local residents around it, we need input from the town's residents on this.
You could do that.
No, I think that it's something that we keep moving forward on. As I said, it's a crawl, walk, run, and we have no idea what's going to be coming in, possibly relocating, et cetera, and particularly in the whole area, not just in Fairfield, but in our whole specific area. So I think it's something that we need to be prepared for, not just set it on the back burner and let it
Doesn't
mold.
cost us
And I agree
anything
with
to continue to look for grants and possible funding and that kind of stuff. Those are things that we can do that there's no tax dollar cost associated with that, other than just our time, so.
Yeah, we find out what's going on with this, we find out what we can get for grant. I mean, this is going to take some time to
certainly.
do this.
Yeah.
A year or two from now, I mean, the housing market could just implode and
Right.
nobody could sell anything. We're not out anything.
Right.
But maybe we're in a position to run sewer and water up 201 and potentially pick up businesses. So, I mean, we could get a potential win-win here on one scenario or the other.
From an economic standpoint, we should leave no rock unturned,
Metaphorically speaking.
metaphorically speaking, yes.
One of the other things the town could consider, and you made a comment that you don't want to, you may not sell lots, so then you're out all that money. There's a possibility you could shop this whole package out to a developer who could build the roads themselves.
Yep.
The development themselves, and that's cheaper for them to do. And then the housing is there and the taxation is there for the community, and they now have the information for what's there environmentally and some layouts, so, that's certainly an option too.
Yeah, and the aspect is if you get things lined up and going well, you may have some developers come in, you don't have to offer it to them. They may come in and make an offer.
That would be a dream.
That's what happened, I think, out on the other road. We had some lots that the developers just gave back to the town. Might have that issue, saying, okay, if we have a developer and some people buy it, they might belly up on it and it might come back. That's another issue right there.
But that's always a risk.
Yep.
And no matter what kind of an endeavor we're
I'm just
going to
worried
do.
about
Regardless.
environmental.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I would like to see the Economic and Community Development Council kind of oversee this and then report back to the council. It's a long-term project. It's
Yep.
not going to be something that's going to be done in a few months. But long-term, and it does coincide with the comprehensive plan objectives as well, so.
And the Growth Council and the Chamber both have been on board with the kickoff
Yeah.
of this project and
Yes.
assisted in the
Yeah.
beginning. So,
Yep.
yeah, definitely. Good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Again, thank you for a
Thank you
very
very much.
good report.
Appreciate you coming in.
If anything else comes up and you want me to come back in, give me a call.
Thank you, Jim.
All right.
We will.
All right.
Okay, thank you.
The same.
Okay.
John, before we start, I'd like to welcome Mark.
Oh, yeah, Mark.
Okay.
We're on a fast ball here, Mark, so thank you and welcome to the council.
Yeah, and also I'd like to say to the other two candidates that it probably wouldn't be a bad idea if you came to as many meetings as you could before the end of the year. That way you can have some input, see what's going on, that type of thing too. So,
Yeah.
before the next election, I think, November 3rd?
Third, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and you can see, you get thrown, Mark got this whole packet that's this thick on what was just talked about, and he's trying to catch up to everything that's being said, so.
That's some reading to do.
Yeah. No, I'd like to see you both here too, because I think it's very, very good that we've got really good
Yeah.
people that are interested in this position.
And the diversity that all of you came with
Yeah.
was really appreciated by me, so I appreciate it. Okay.
Okay, moving on. Second order of business is public hearings, and there are none tonight. So we'll move to the third order of business, which is public comments. Limit 3 minutes equivalent to public speaking. Members of the public may email comments for the council at info@fairfieldme.com by 4 p.m. on the day of the meeting on any topic or agenda item. Items may be read aloud at this time. Are there any items?
We didn't receive any bill.
None that have come in.
See
Any-
anyone that's come to speak yet?
Nope. Okay. Moving on to the fourth order of business. Reports from staff and committee, town manager report.
Good evening. So we continue to do discussions with MS80 49 and partnering with the Alphon Youth Center about possibly using the community center here as a day program, which will serve almost similar to like childcare, but not childcare. We're currently waiting on some more specifics and the financial impact to the community center itself and what that's going to look like as an impact to the budget. The Alphon is actually looking to pay for the program. It's through the CARES Act. It's sort of like a after-school club, but basically what it sounds like they're going to be doing is alternating 5 days a week, so to help provide coverage to families who have students who are only going to school every other day, so that they would come to this facility during the day. It would be limited to 50 children because it is indoors. They're still
Right.
working out the details. But so that's why we're hoping for a report for some more specifics within the next week. It will come to the council because it will be a decision that you will need to make the conversations I've had with the superintendent is that obviously it wouldn't be a moneymaker for the town, but we need to know that we don't know what they need for cleaning expenses or cleaning requirements, whether they expect us to do that, they to do that, the utility impacts, those sorts of things. So we're working on getting a full report for that, and that will come to you, but hopefully it will be on your next agenda because it is something they're looking to move quickly on. Also, the surveying and the pinning is done at 124 Oakland Road. A 25-foot by 25-foot section has been carved out for the Center Fire Station's septic tank. The description and of the exception has been sent to Attorney Lee's office for deed preparation, so hopefully that will be ready by your next meeting. We'll have that done. The Public Works Department did ratify the new union contract that the council voted on at the last meeting, so that's all set to go. In fact, we have 2 signature pages for you tonight to sign. And then we're continuing to work towards the tax commitment for 2021. Just as a reminder, residents can prepay their taxes. Any amount that they do pay ahead of time will be reflected on their bill. We are hoping to have bills out by the end of September, but we'll definitely have a better idea of that timetable by the time your next meeting arrives.
Very good.
That's where we're at.
Okay.
I got something there.
Yeah, go ahead.
Part of the, say some on the legislative committee, they held a climate control symposium last week. Broke up for transportation and other things.
Yeah.
Include housing and construction. Talks about the new climate requirements by 2035. Saying the construction projects are going to increase if we have any construction in the town, new construction or renovations. Because you have to have a hookup for solar or the new thing for the cars. So, so that's what the climate symposium was all about. If anyone wants to get information on it, it's on climatecouncil.maine.gov.
Okay. Good. All right. Any other committee reports to be had?
Nope.
No? None. All right. I guess then we'll move on to the 5th order of business, which is the consent agenda. And these items are considered routine and standard business and therefore will be enacted by one motion unless a council member requests the item be removed and acted on as a regular action item on the agenda. All right, the first item would be 2120-116, order that the town council hereby approves the treasurer's warrant number 12, general fund, in the amount of $225,116.76. That would be MMEHT, Maine PERS, Motor Vehicle, and Pike Industries. The second item would be 20-117, ordered that the town, Fairfield Town Council hereby waives a reading of and accepts the minutes for meeting 2020-16 held on August 12th, 2020.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Abstain? One abstention. Okay. Now moving on to the 6th order of business, and that is to take action on the following items of business. Item -2118, ordered that the town council hereby nominates and appoints the new town council member to serve as General Assistance Fair Hearing Authority Officer for the remainder of the term to expire on date and time of town council's next annual organizational meeting in January 2021.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Yes, Stephanie.
I think we should let Mark know what that means, the General Assistance Fair Hearing Authority.
That was my next question.
So
Every municipality is required to have a welfare and general assistance director, and I'm that person. And in the event I make a determination that someone would like to appeal, there has to be a general assistance fair hearing authority to hear the appeal before it would go to Superior Court. So that falls to the municipal officers. And we appoint all of our, and here in Fairfield, we appoint all of our Fairfield Town Council members, so that in the event, it's usually, we go through the lineup, the chair, the vice chair, the secretary, we usually go down through the line. If someone would receive the confidential, and there is confidentiality waiver that every council member has to sign specific to that. And I think that's all I have, unless you have any other questions.
Any other questions? No? All right. Look for a motion.
We already have one.
Okay, I'm sorry. All right, all in favor? Abstain? 4, one abstention.
Thank you.
Okay, item 20-119, order that the town council hereby nominates and appoints a town council member to serve as representative to KV-COG General Assembly for the remainder of the term set to expire on June 30th, 2021.
So move.
Second?
All right, and looking for a nomination, or who would want to?
Can we do discussion first?
We can do that.
How often does the General Assembly meet?
General Assembly meets at least once annually, and then may meet a few other times throughout the course of the year. Typically, the elected official from the board serves as the alternate. I sit on the board of directors, so as board of directors, I also go to the General Assembly meetings. So it's not necessary that anybody would have to attend unless it was something I couldn't go to and a vote needed to be taken. But I don't think in the 5 years I've been here, a counselor has ever gone to a KV-COG meeting. Just saying. But the way the law is written for COGS, it does require an elected official to be one of its members. That's why we pick from the
Also,
councils.
can you explain what the council, or the General Assembly consists of?
General Assembly consists of members from all of the communities that are members of KV-COG. And so it's, every community has representation on KV-COG's General Assembly, if you're a paying member. So the General Assembly meets to officially adopt its budget. That is what the General Assembly's job is, basically. And then the Board of Directors meets monthly. And then from the Board of Directors, there's also an executive board that meets more often, so.
Any other discussion? Any volunteers?
I'll volunteer, if you want me to.
I was going to nominate you anyways.
Well,
Go for it.
go for it.
Make a motion, Stephanie Thibodeau be nominated for the General Assembly, the KV-COG.
I'll amend my second to include that.
Okay. All in favor? 4, abstained, 1. Stephanie is now the town council
Just let me know when.
representative.
September
All right.
24th.
Moving to item 20-120, which is ordered that the town council hereby confirms the town manager's appointment of Jericho Champagne as police officer for the remainder of a 1-year term set to expire on the date of 2021 Town Council Annual Organizational Meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
I just have a question for Jericho. How you been enjoying doing the work with the crews of Fairfield? You've been
You need to go to the microphone.
you
So this is Officer Jericho Champagne,
Yeah.
to introduce him to the world.
okay.
All right, so could you just repeat that one more time?
Okay. How you been enjoying your tenure so far with the Fairfield department?
So I actually grew up in Fairfield, so I kind of knew the area. I knew that I would love being here, and I kind of had was kind of familiar with the other department members just from growing up here. It hasn't changed too much since I was young. So I knew that, I feel like I would fit in very well. I knew the community. I knew the community was great. And then as far as, so I feel like I've fit in very well, and I feel like right now I'm really enjoying, being a law enforcement officer. Love the job variety. The citizens of Fairfield have always been great. So I'm really enjoying it so far. I feel like it's the right career for me. I went to school for it. I had an internship with the state police, so I kind of already knew what I was getting into prior to this. So no too big surprises, so I'm really enjoying it so far.
You still attending UMA?
I just graduated with an associate's from UMA this past May.
Nice. Very good.
Yes,
Well, oh,
Stephanie.
you have a question?
Yes.
No.
I just want to say, Jericho, I haven't seen you since Benton Elementary School, and I am so proud of you, and I'm glad that you're joining our police force here in town, so
Well, thank you. I'm glad to be here.
thank you.
So how's the challenge so far?
It presents, challenges every day, but, I just overcome each challenge. So, it's part of the job, and I actually like challenges, so that's, to say that there's going to be no challenges in my law enforcement career, there's going to be challenges every day, but I like to be challenged, so I feel like I manage the challenges pretty well.
He's not going to say bad things at this point.
No, his boss is standing right over there.
But he's not going to say anything bad.
Well, I wish you good luck at the academy.
Thank you very
Where
much.
you're headed.
Thank you.
So,
You have a date yet, or?
I do not. Hopefully sooner rather than later.
Yes. Yes. Well, thank you very much for
Thank you.
coming in and
No problem. Thank you, guys.
taking
Thank you.
over.
Appreciate your service.
Thank you, you deserve it, yes.
I think we still need to vote. Did you?
We still need to vote.
Yeah.
All in
Well-
favor? 5-0, you're done.
Okay.
Okay, now you go back to work. Thank you.
Jericho.
Nice meeting you all.
Nice
Nice
meeting you.
meeting you too.
All right, moving on to 7th order of business, council workshop and other business. Number 1 would be discuss parking on Cottage Street. Go over that real quick. Is what's happening is that they're totally redoing Cottage Streets, being paved, plus all the streets off Cottage Street are also being paved at the same time. And first I will say that there will be, which we've already approved, there will be signs going up of no through trucks through that street.
Yeah, because
Should hopefully save the pavement a little bit there.
yeah, when I saw that last email we received in our packet about 3 to 5 tractor trailers
Oh, yeah.
a day,
Oh, yeah.
I made, I went out twice to College Road, last Friday and last night to assess
Yeah.
the situation. And I found where Mailing Trust was located. I knew where it was, but I didn't know
Yes.
how close they were to them.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think any tractor trailer or heavy equipment should be going through a residential area to get to it.
Right.
That's what's steering our roads up.
I mean, it's a tough one, but we don't want to upset
How
them.
are they supposed to get there without going through a residential area?
Go
Unfortunately,
through Armory Road up the back way, or go
Yeah.
through by the school, West Road up that way.
Well,
Not-
Army Road is residential.
somewhat, not all of it.
No, but a good portion of it coming
Right.
into Fairfield is.
No, not really. It's coming, actually, the portion that's residential is going through Waterville.
Drummond Avenue. Drummond Avenue is
Yep.
part
Yeah.
residential.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it is what it is for them, but the problem is that they use Cottage Street as a shortcut. And unfortunately, they've got 2 roads that go to the interstate, and that's, that's what they've got to use.
yeah.
And also to how narrow that road is too.
Well, that road, unfortunately, the road is a narrow road. You get 2 cars passing time, that's why parking sometimes can be a major problem there, because when people park, instead of pulling in up on the grass and as close as they can, they will park halfway to three-quarters of the way out on the street. That presents a problem coming down. Now, the way, as bad as that road has been with the big potholes and things like that, traffic has remained, it's still pretty fast, but relatively slow. The problem is now that it's going to be paved, it's going to be like the Indianapolis 500, going through there and with those cars and stuff. And we've got a lot of houses with a lot of kids, small kids and things like that. So that part of it really kind of bothered me a little bit, looking at it.
Yeah.
Yes.
We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different responses.
Yes.
And 2 of those came from the same location.
Right.
But in one of the responses, they live on the other end of
Yes.
Cottage Street, and
Yep.
they've been there for 20-plus years.
yeah.
And really no problem to speak of, but it seems that the problem is on the Main Street side, and the
Yes.
hill going up.
What it is you have a business on Main Street, you have a garage, another hair salon, and a road going into the hotel. Then you got that little incline next to Rowlands going into Cottage.
Yeah.
So you have businesses, you got one house, then it goes up.
Yeah, and it's difficult coming up over the hill or even coming down. It is difficult to see. And if you've got cars parked along there, at some point in time, there's going to be.
Yeah. I'll vouch for that. I've had that situation where you've got cars on the sides of the street and you can't see if anything's coming up. So, Michelle, were you able to get a Google map set up?
I do. See what it does.
I'm just wondering, are they going to put the speed limit sign back up, or was there one?
We'll need to talk about
We
that.
need at least 2 speed limit signs, one on each side.
I
At
agree.
the beginning
Yep.
and at the end, at the beginning of both sides.
But it's in
And then
town,
no-
people
and
should
no
know it's
through traffic.
25.
It doesn't
Right.
make any difference.
It's the ones that are our town.
Okay.
It's
All
like
right,
the-
so,
So
It's like-
if you look at the screen up front here, you can see right down here, this is where that business is.
that's the Getty Garage?
Yeah.
Formerly?
Yeah.
So the Main Street is down here.
Yeah, yeah,
And then Cottage Street, of course, carries up this way,
yeah.
and then goes over.
I mean, there was a thought of taking possibly a section where that hill is at, a specific amount of section, and putting no parking there.
Right, because I know the road going into the hotel, then it goes to the hill.
Yeah,
It should be from there down, but also too, you get a problem too, you get one house on the other side, it's not part of a business,
right.
so.
When I was looking at the information that was sent in, the concerns that the citizens had,
Yeah,
I could clearly understand that it's from Cosby Street to Main Street.
yeah.
And I feel badly, because you have the nail place, the hair salon, and then next to that building, you have the apartment building. And across the street, you have Rowden's, Matthews, and then the corner lot, and I'm not sure who lives there, right there. Is that,
And
Yeah.
this
'Cause of the
picture's from
route.
2016, by the way, so there might be
Right.
some
The-
roofscapes might look a little bit different.
yeah, well, the Matthews and the Rowdens haven't moved. To me, number one, I'm all in favor of posting the speed limit signs, hoping that it will make a difference. But because of the residential and business aspect, I really think that from Cosby Street to Main Street, that would need to be posted. I don't know how the chief feels about that.
Yeah, you can
But-
come up from, if you want to come up
But
to the
I'm
podium,
thinking
too.
no parking.
From-
But then that raises a concern with the 3 homeowners, 4 counting the apartment building, and I don't know what the situation is there for parking. Michelle got the paper for all the accidents that have taken
Yeah,
place.
yeah.
And the span of time, I'm not sure what that was over.
I think it was 2005 to
Yeah,
present.
2005.
Yeah.
That's not many accidents, is it?
No,
It's
but
not,
the
but that
road
doesn't
was.
doesn't mean
in bad
that there
shape.
hasn't been a lot of close calls.
Exactly. And the other problem,
True.
like I said, is that you got people with kids, and that
But
creates,
what-
because they're on bicycles
Right.
and out in the road with their scooters and whatever,
Well,
because it's a
that's
heavy
also
residential.
the parents' responsibility.
Well, it is, but it's
we
still
have an
residential.
ownership for that road to make sure it's as safe as
Exactly.
possible.
Because I think, oops.
So,
I don't see, the streets that are there, they're, the four houses, maybe 5 houses that are on those streets, I don't see a lot of parking problem. I know, unfortunately, Rowden's had said they don't have, but they've got 2 driveways going in there. You could put 6 cars in those driveways
They
very
had
easily.
4 cars in the driveway when I went by.
Yeah, tonight there
That
was
one
3 or 4.
residence?
Yes.
That's the mouth of Cottage.
right.
That's the mouth of it. Downward is that slope of the hill there.
But you still have that entranceway into the Violet
Yes.
Senior Citizen
Oh, yeah.
Cottage Estates.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So,
What's your
So-
thought, Chiefs?
how would making no parking go from Cosby Street to Main
Mm-hmm.
Street?
I think it should be before the Rowlands.
Before the Rowdens?
Well, that's Cosby Street.
No, across the streets after
After the
Rowlands.
Rowdens?
Oh, I'm
But you
sorry.
can't see.
See, when you go up on that hill, the
Yeah.
Rowlands is right on top of the hill, with that, when that building that, I know there's a name there.
Cottage Estates.
Yeah,
Cottage
Driveway that goes
Estate.
in
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
I think it should start right from there.
Well, the problem is
For no
that,
parking to Main Street?
no, nobody parks there. There's absolutely nobody that parks there. It
To
is-
me,
it is the-
It's all commercial
The
right
one is the housing, it's the houses that are on top, right on the crest of the hill, where you have parking, that is the problem.
Because the 2 cars that park in front of the Rowdens, when you crest that hill and they're in the road, you gotta move to the left, you can't see the traffic coming down over the hill.
Now, you live on Cottage
That's
Street,
correct.
Mark.
So
So,
there was a few close calls coming up the hill.
I do know that at one point, we did tow a vehicle out of there that was parked, and it was just so badly blocking the road that I believe the officers had it towed. So there has been a vehicle towed from that location, even though it was illegal parking, it was parked in such a manner that it was dangerous for traffic.
You know, that's it, a lot of times they'll pull in and just pull in and leave the tail of the end of the car sticking out in the street, and you don't think they're all right.
I don't think it's right for us, or necessary, for us to put no parking at all on Cottage Street. I just think it's where it's the most dangerous, is right there at the hill. And that, to me, is what we should be focusing on. Now, we're not making the road any wider, right? Because I drove down it,
No.
but because of the tar being pulled up and all, it looks like a wider road.
No.
That's not happening, right? Okay. So,
But we still have, what, 50-something feet that the town owns, right away through there, the town owns.
Yeah, I think you're, what is it, 16 feet from the center to each side is 16 feet.
21.
20-something feet from the
it
center of the
20?
road out.
Yes.
So I actually had a request for the footage and the right-of-way this week pertaining to political signage. And from the Public Works perspective, it's 20 feet from the center, and from
Okay,
the
20
code
feet.
enforcement officer's perspective on the rod, it's 16.5. And those are
Right.
2 different uses, and you've got to remember, Public Works has to look at utilities that might be
Yeah,
underground.
well, that's why I said 16. I think on our street, it's 16 feet back from what I measured, but where the stakes were put by the town surveyors. What's your thought, Chief?
The curve is dangerous. I guess my concerns would be for getting fire trucks and large apparatus up and through there.
That could be another situation, yeah.
Other than that, I don't recall an awful lot of parking violations on the street. I think maybe you should entertain, if it's really a serious need, it's, maybe you could entertain no parking this side and put it on one side of the road versus the other side, so that vehicles don't park beside each other. That's where most of the issue comes into play. You have two vehicles parked and they're parked directly across from each other.
That does happen a lot of times.
It is a short street, so I think for the most part, operators are fairly safe. They see, a vehicle approaching and they're approaching also, they'll stop and let the traffic through. Like I said, the crash data, there's been very, very few crashes on that road. That could change when we pave it.
Exactly.
When we do pave it, we will put the speed sign up there, and we will give it 1 week both directions, and I will be able to give you data, actual speed data on the newly paved roads. I don't know if maybe you want to wait and see if that data sways you before you make a decision. But I can get that up there as soon as the road is paved.
If you want to put it on my front lawn, because I'm halfway down, so it'll give a good barometer both ways.
Yep, sure.
Is there a study that we can do at that point, or between now and then too?
You can. No, we can have it looked at by engineers from a safety standpoint, so similar to like when we do the traffic studies with DOT on the state roads, and we do a safety audit. I can look in to find out what it would cost you to have an engineering firm come in and do a safety audit on that area or the whole street itself.
Yeah, I mean, my concern is strictly safety. And like I said, there's a lot of little kids on that street. They drive bicycles. There's, stuff in there. And yeah, the parents are responsible, but you can't tell when these kids, you get somebody 11, 12 years old outside, the parents might not even be there. If they are, they're in the kitchen cooking dinner or something. You never know what those kids are going to do.
We haven't had a tremendous amount of complaints, and the road's in horrible conditions, and that helps. It really does. But we haven't had a tremendous amount of complaints on traffic violations in there, and I don't recall a lot when I've been out through that road myself, other than at the very beginning where that curve is. I do know that has been an issue in the past.
Yes, and I think that's probably the biggest thing that I'm looking at is that
And
that
with
section
the
in there.
accident reports, the beginning of this road, so the Main Street end and the Savage Street end are where the majority of your accidents have happened on this street.
Yeah.
So it is definitely at those intersections.
Once you crest that hill, you can see all the way down the street. It's very clear.
Yep.
And the other thing that
What were the totals since 2000? What do you go back to 2005?
It's only a couple.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's only a couple on that street.
couple,
Actually,
two,
if you look
three.
the next street over, it should show.
More military.
Many more.
Military has a ton
Many
of them.
more are military.
Yes.
It was, you got the picture. The picture I have, I apologize, is the original printout we did, which was cut off, so I don't have all the numbers. But I think only one of those accidents was actually involved a parked car. It was one, correct? Because I
you're right.
asked, how many did it involve a parked car? And only one accident
And
involved a parked car.
It doesn't tell us if somebody backed out of a driveway into a parked car. That happens.
I was going to say that there could be a lot of different little dingers that never get reported. But I think, yeah, if we did maybe, looked into maybe doing a little bit of a structure, when it gets up, we put the speed sign up.
How would we pay for this study to be done? Is it TIF money?
No, it ended up coming out of your regular road budget. We'd find out how much it is first before we bring it back.
Before we even
I'd ask-
decide.
Basically, what would happen, we should have had this conversation while Jim Lord was here, because we just asked a year ago how much it
Oh,
would be.
yeah,
They
that's
do
true.
our stuff for
Yeah.
us right now anyway, but it wouldn't, I don't think it's gonna be a lot, but I don't wanna say a number until I know for sure.
Right.
It's too, And what would be the purpose of this study?
What's the end result of the study? What is it going to tell
I'm
us?
thinking common sense can rule over this, and we don't have to go into our pocketbooks to pay for it.
So basically, when these are done, if it was done similar to the DOT ones that they do, they come back, they look at the crash data, which we already have, and then they take a look at sight distance and that sort of stuff, and would make a recommendation as to where you would put your signs if you were gonna actually post no parking. Or you could just say, this is where the accidents are, and we should just post it here.
Yep.
Because it's a town road and not a state road, you don't need an engineer to make that call. you can do it by ordinance.
My feeling is we could come up with what should happen there. We have 2 people right now that live in that area. I don't think we need to spend money to know where the danger spots are.
Yeah, well, if you want, you can put it on the next agenda and we'll,
I think the accident data is pretty clear. As dangerous as the curve is, I would expect a lot more crashes in that area. But I assume that a lot of people that live in the area know that's a bad corner, and they use caution when they go through it.
Okay, so there's the
Okay.
full accident screen.
Because
And I did-
what does the circle mean
So
versus the
there's
teardrop?
right here, so there's this blue circle with a 3.
Yeah?
That means there were 3 accidents there.
Oh.
that is probably, if you blow that up, that is probably closer to this intersection
Right. So it's down, this is shrunk, so it's in a general area.
Yeah.
And there's 1 in this area, 1 here, and then 3 more at this end. So that's a total of 8 since 2005
yeah.
accidents on
15
Cottage
years.
Street.
And then on the next street over there is...
That's military.
Yeah, that's military, and there's many more over there.
So what does the red drop mean?
It means it was a single.
A single?
Single accident, correct.
And
And
then
then
if
the
there's
blue,
two
the blue
in the
dot
same
just means there's
location.
more than one
More
crash
than-
at that location. And the blue dot should have a number in it that tells you how many.
Okay.
And I did run town-wide crash reports in blocks to see if there's been any significant increase or decrease, and there has been an increase in the last 3 years, but it's on major arteries. A lot of the crashes that we're seeing on the major arteries have increased, 201, 139, 104. Those have increased, and I would assume that's a lot to do with distracted driving. But in the main streets in town, I didn't see that much of an increase that I could notice anyway.
Okay.
Maybe a crash or two this street or that street.
Right. Well, one of the concerns too is that after the street is paved, that probably more and more cars will be going down there.
Well-
Using it as a shortcut.
The radar trailer, if we put it up there, that will give
Yeah.
you a good idea of flows of traffic.
Right.
When the peak is,
Yeah.
when the valleys are, how fast they're going, how many are respecting the speed limits. That should be able to break down most of those numbers for you.
Yeah. Yeah, because 25 is, a lot of people don't, it's like College Avenue, excuse me, College Avenue is 35. Try to find more than 5 cars a day to go 35 down College Avenue.
It's hard for us to enforce because we will go out and run radar.
Yeah.
But a lot of people that live in the area think the traffic is flowing a lot faster than it is because the road is closed in and the cars look like they're moving faster.
Right.
So there's not a lot of violations of the law. That's a situation we
Figure
run
that
into.
one out, just put your car on, the 35 and hit your speed thing and go 35 and see how many cars you pass or how many pass you. I can guarantee you won't pass any.
That's right.
Michelle, do we know when the paving will be done so the speed thing can go up?
So I believe they finished reclaiming this week. I think paving's supposed to be done next week.
Okay.
Yeah, they're still running up and down with the rollers and the everything,
So-
The paving trucks haven't gotten there yet, have
No.
they? No.
Right.
So I know that they were reclaiming yesterday.
They
and
did today,
I think they
too.
finished today.
Okay, so how much time is needed to get a good look at the speeds on Cottage Street? 1 week, 2 weeks, a month?
It's totally up to you. I could do 3 days each direction after they paved. I could do a week each direction after they pave. I don't think it'll change very much.
No.
The averages, I would say at least a solid 10 days, 5 days each direction.
Right. So for the next council meeting, we could have some statistics,
As long as it's paved.
as long as it's paid.
As long as it's
And
paved,
plenty of
yeah.
time. And then the other concern I would have with that too is that you have the Savage Street project going on the other end, which may skew your numbers a bit, but
Yeah.
you may still get some good data.
Yeah,
I would be
I didn't think
interested
of
to
that.
know
You're
how to
absolutely
take
right.
the
As soon as the first street that gets paved, you'll see the cruisers on it, all day long because the traffic will just be
Like a
all
zoo.
through there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
And if
What
it-
we can do is take a look and see when the roads get paved, when we can put it out. If it's set and we have enough time to gather you the data, we'll put it on your next agenda. If not, we can wait till the one after that, and that way you have that data when you make your decision. And then in the meantime, also that may give some folks on Cottage Street opportunity to reach out, that those that haven't reached out at this point.
Yeah.
And could still reach out and talk to you about their thoughts.
Okay.
Okay? And we won't spend any money on any engineering studies. We'll just get some
We
more
can
data.
do it ourselves.
Right, we'll let the chief do the engineering.
Thank you, Chief.
All right, seventh order of business, number 2, discuss the comprehensive plan, economic development, and I will turn that over to Stephanie.
Okay. For local economic development, it's like a contradiction. We're very strong in our efforts in this area, and we seem to struggle to get businesses in, especially at the Ellis lot where Jig Airs used to be. We continue to work with regional development partners and public-private initiatives. We do that very well. I'd like to thank Michelle. She's right on this. We have the benefits of KV-COG and the Central Maine Growth Council to support us in what we're doing, so that always helps. We're working to improve access to funding, businesses, and training opportunities, and COVID-19's treating us pretty well right now because we're getting opportunities for small businesses to get some extra funding. Let me see. We're looking at efforts for commercial clusters, especially on Industrial Road. There's been, since the comprehensive plan was voted in 2014, we have businesses going in. It's looking really good. We're trying to get the connection made between Waterville and Fairfield. Hopefully that will happen within the next few years, knock on wood. Overall, I'd give this area a check plus. You know how I am. And the only one that concerns me is the fact that if you look at 13.3, it talks about continue to recognize the value of agriculture and forestry as an economic driver. The term economic driver doesn't settle well with me because we may be going back to an agricultural society because people will start doing more gardening and farming. But when we go to look at the comprehensive plan again, that needs to be addressed, that one particular item. I feel badly, we had some really nice farmland out on the Ridge Road, and CMP made a deal, and that's all gone. So that was tough.
I just had a question, Steph, on 12-3, says host a meeting. Is that any plan sometime to host a meeting for area businesses on Main Street?
We've actually done that in the past, and I don't know, I had a question here. We did it in the past, should it be revisited?
So, and the Economic Community Development Committee has had conversations. One of the things the town did in the past was actually a survey for its downtown businesses. And in my adventures in the town office, I have actually found the old survey and what that looked like and its results. So I've had conversations with the Growth Council about revising that and bringing that back and taking a look at that. It's one of those pieces, with the facade improvement program, we have talked to a lot of people. I've personally reached out to a lot of the businesses to let them know that we have that program so that they're doing those things. It's difficult. I think you have to remember the year in which this document was created, and so hosting a meeting, COVID aside, many business owners do not have time to come in and just sit to have a gab session for, a half an hour or an hour, and don't think that there's going to be an end result to that. So I think now with technology, we maybe could look at a completely different way of still getting the same effect, but maybe reaching out in a different context so to help folks as opposed to inviting them in for a sit-down meeting.
Yeah.
We know how we oftentimes even struggle to have folks here at our council meetings or town meeting for that matter. So, but I think definitely looking at some different pieces. And I'm hoping to some of that, we'll get some of that feedback when it comes to the survey that we're looking to do over Mill Island Park this year, and that might give us an idea of a direction to go with some of that stuff.
Yeah. Years ago, we had the downtown, I think it was called Downtown Allegiance or something
there was
like
an
that.
association.
Downtown Association.
Yes, that was the
And-
merchants downtown.
Right, and-
Yes, I remember that.
Because of progress and wheels changing and all that, that kind of just dissipated.
Yeah, and it was hard to get the, I think at the time I was chairman of the Downtown Development Corporation. We had, because we had somebody in that position, and then they was a committee underneath that. I'm going back into the 80s now, but
And a lot of this
it was
written-
hard to get all of the merchants to actually come. There was 2 or 3 of them that would constantly be there, but the rest of them,
And that's what
it
I've
was
been told,
difficult.
was that organization just kind of fell apart.
Yes, it did.
And a lot of this too, we used to have a full-time economic community development director
Well, that's
here
what
in
I'm talking
town.
about. We had,
And we don't have that position at all.
no, we had that
anymore,
position, and he oversaw
Saw
the
that-
position
that
that I
piece.
had. There was 3 of us in that committee, and then we were all together trying to get the Harold Josephs and Gary Beatty's and that type of, people together, and it was sometimes difficult. One of the things that, too, I think is very, very important is the amount of vehicles that go through this town every day. And I think that's an important business.
What was the number, the
Situation.
last study that was done was last summer, I think? Wasn't it like 50,000?
50, 60,000, I believe.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
had,
something
we had a
like that.
number from one of the studies
Yeah.
that we had done.
Yeah.
I can't remember off the top of my head.
So,
I have another question. On number 12, it says target development efforts in specific commercial clusters in town, downtown, Western Avenue, and industrial park. You mean that in industrial parks?
industrial
Road.
road,
Right.
yeah.
Okay. How about the 201 interstate access area or the business park up there around Center Street?
Oh, yeah.
Because, or Sheldon Road, the Sheldon.
Sheridan. Right.
Because you have that new dialysis location in.
Right.
And they look like they will build more behind that off Sheldon. So that's not into the plan.
And that, remember in 2014, we had Pike, there was that big warehouse. After, I think
Well, that was about it.
Montessori was there, and the doctor's office.
Yep.
Sheridan's office, yeah.
And
Yeah.
now there's more change happening because of the sale of Hammond. So I think it's 2021, we're supposed to review the
Right, next year.
comprehensive plan.
Well, they're going to be occupying the old lumber yard too by the interstate going
Oh.
out towards Skowhegan.
You mean WIC building?
Yeah.
The Wick building?
I have a person who might be taking that location.
Yes.
Oh, we'll have to talk
It's,
on Tuesday when we meet.
I talked to him personally because my
Wow.
wife and I did business with him, and he says he's looking into the whole WIC building.
Oh, interesting. So there are, economically, there's a lot of changes
There's a lot of
going
things that
on.
are happening right now. I mean,
Yeah.
we're kind of in a dead spiral
Yeah.
from this
Well,
thing called.
but we're still making
sickness.
progress. The thing is, with us, people think of Fairfield, they drive down Main Street, and it's like a ghost town. I don't know how many times I've heard that.
Yeah.
I just wish we could do something to revitalize our downtown.
Just remember too, you used to have that hardware store and Joseph's.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, and what's sad is, just so you know, Mark, where the Ellis lot is, it's, Mr. Ellis will build to suit.
Yep.
The thing is, nobody wants to come.
What's-
We've
No,
tried.
that's not true.
What's that?
Not true?
That's not true.
Oh.
You're painting this gloom and doom picture of
Right.
our
Oh,
downtown and our
correct me,
community.
exactly.
It's not true. So, first of all, with regards to the farm that we lost with the CMP buyout, we had no control over that, and there's nothing anybody could have done to
Private.
prevent
Right.
Yeah.
that happening. That was a completely different situation. So, but what a lot of folks don't realize when you drive downtown and down Main Street here in Fairfield is, quite frankly, there is no space available to rent. There is no space for any new business to come into.
Right.
Every space that we have available is currently occupied by a business or owned by a property owner who does not want a
Doesn't want a
business in it.
business, yep.
There is nothing that we can do about that. We've had a couple of different companies who've actually tried to work on the Ellis lot and those sorts of, there's some nuances that go with that lot that are kind of difficult for some developers to swallow. So that's where that's been a problem. But that's been under contract discussions at least 3 times in the last 4 years.
Yep.
Even though it hasn't happened. The Irving Oil property that is located right out here at the end of Water Street, the last we knew, and we check probably every 6 months or so, all of the Irving Oil properties are locked down and nobody's doing any development, selling, movement of any of them. We don't know why, but the folks in Canada said nothing's going anywhere, so we do occasionally get them to mow it so that it doesn't look like a jungle. But things that we have had happen here in town, remember the property at 50 Escalon Drive, that used to be a tax exempt building. There was a $600,000 outstanding mortgage to the town. That building has been sold. It is now on the tax rolls. The town's debt has been paid and it employs more than 60 people. These were jobs saved that were going to go to Indiana from Waterville. Yep. They started here with 40, they're now over 60, and they may be even higher than that by the end of the year. You have BDS Tire, who was in 3 different locations around the state. They're bringing all of their operations here to town. So not only is some of it is existing jobs, but also maybe new jobs. The solar development that has been happening in our community is huge, and it brings workers with it. The electricians union is very happy. They've been involved trying to help out with some folks. We have businesses that are being bought and sold all the time, because we do know Hammond has been bought and sold. There's another,
Teague
has been
yes.
bought and sold. These are out-of-state companies who are looking to come here because it's worthwhile to come here because there is business to be had. We do have the dialysis clinic. A lot of folks didn't want them to go in first part because they thought they would be tax exempt, and lo and behold, they're not tax exempt, and we got them anyway. So
Right.
Yep.
There's been a lot of really great things that has happened here over the course of the last few years. And yes, the brick facades downtown still look the same, and that's why we brought back the facade program. But some of this, if a property owner doesn't want a business on their main street, we can't make them. We try. But one of the things that the council did do a couple years ago, you changed the zoning ordinance that anybody in the downtown district, if you have an existing commercial space, you cannot make it residential. It has to stay commercial so we don't lose our downtown appeal. So
Yep.
you've done a lot of really great things to try to protect the downtown, and Waterville is running out of space. So be patient, they will come.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
especially like when Kobe just bought the hotel next to, between McDonald's and Burger King. That's going to be Kobe, not Kobe-ville.
Oh,
They bought that and renovated it.
between the Congregational Church and the,
That old Waterville Hotel that used
yeah,
to be
the
vacant.
Express.
What used to be
Holiday
the
Inn
atrium, and now
Express.
it's a Holiday Inn,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Kobe bought that. Making
The
it all
Holiday Inn.
rooms.
No, there's land between the church and the Holiday Inn, and it was up for development. And they, at one point, they had talked about
Way of the
putting a
land.
road
College Ave.
into
Yeah.
Walmart, but
Oh, okay, the land.
the
No,
land.
the building too.
No, they bought the Holiday Inn?
No, you're talking the
About the
Burger
wa-
King out by, heading towards Oakland,
Yeah.
by that interstate.
Oh,
There's a Burger King there, then there's a
Oh,
hotel
that
that goes perpendicular to the
That
road.
one.
Oh, the one over by the new Damon's.
out on KMD.
Yes, out off Camden.
Yes, they bought that and they renovated it.
Oh,
Yeah.
so Damon's is gonna make a
Killing.
killing, yes. Okay,
So,
Now I know where we are. Yes.
Okay.
Fairfield.
Yeah, exactly.
So there actually are some really good things.
There are some good
And a lot of
things.
folks are doing businesses out of their homes. We've had new businesses all over the place. So, and what businesses are here that have stayed open during COVID have told me that things are going very well and very strong for them.
Yep.
So.
Yeah,
it is going
Meridian's
good.
is reopened, and, you
Yeah.
know,
the open lot next to my wife's business,
yeah,
he's fixing it up, saying he better fix it up and put something in there to attract someone.
that's true.
So he's fixing that whole.
There is things happening, it's just it's slow, and people have that tendency to judge a book by its cover, so if they only knew. But thank you, Michelle.
You're welcome.
All right. Discuss other council business. Start with Stephanie.
I have nothing to say at this time.
You sure?
Should we make a note? Should we make a note of
Mark it on the
I'm
calendar.
writing it down right now.
I'm all set, John. Thank you.
I want to welcome back
Yep.
to the council. Also, too, I want to do a kudos for a family member. There's a new EMT in Fairfield, in the Lawrence household. My daughter Michaela just passed her national EMT license Monday.
Oh, cool.
So, and she finished her senior year, she just started senior year USM for nursing. So she graduates December
Excellent.
2021.
Which is a
Good,
field that is
congratulations.
very, very much needed because, boy, the health care seems to be getting shorter and shorter and shorter in the area. So, that is something. All right, and anything else? Mr. Cooper, do you have anything? No? Okay. All right, then, the next regular meeting of the Fairfield Town Council will be on Wednesday, September 9th, 2020, to be held as a hybrid meeting via Zoom in the council chambers starting at 6:30 PM. Eighth order of business, executive session. There is none.
Recess, I need a
Recess.
We will have a recess, yes. I didn't hit the ninth order
Make a
yet.
motion for recess.
Second.
All in favor? We are recessed.